In this DIY December episode, you'll learn how to make a dainty beaded chain bracelet with a fun chainmail charm. You'll need some thin gauge wire and some beads that you want to make into your chain. So the first thing that you want to do is grab your chain nose pliers, grab about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch down your wire depending on how comfortable you are working with the shorter wire, and bend it into a right angle. You're then going to grab your round nose pliers and grab right in the bend like that. Bring the wire up around the top and down so that it then looks like this. And then what you're going to do is put it in the bottom nose of the pliers, bring the tail end out to the other side, so then you have a little loop, and then you can continue spiraling around until you have about 2 to 3 coils. So then it should look like that. So trim the tail end off. Then what we're going to do is cut this off the wire, leaving space for your bead, and then that same amount of wire on the other side so that we can create that little wrap. So we're going to string a bead on, just like that. Get the wire out of the way so you can see. And we're going to face these loops in the same direction. So we're going to bend the angle like this. If I wasn't so pale, it would be easier to see against my skin. But you get the idea. So we'll go up around the top and down. Place it on the bottom nose, straight out to the other side. So it looks like that. And then again, spiral downward towards your bead. So now we have a little link. We're going to trim the tail end off, and we are going to make another link. But this time what we're going to do is link them together as we go. So we are going to bend the wire into a right angle, go up and around the top of the round nose pliers and down, put it into the bottom nose of the pliers and straight out. And now we're going to hook it right into the first link that we did. We can then grab the loop with the chain nose pliers, and notice how we're grabbing across the loop. We're not putting the pliers actually through the loop, we're grabbing across the loop so that it doesn't change the shape of the loop at all. So then carefully spiral about 3 times and trim that tail end off. Cut a little bit of length of wire so it should be hooked in just like that. You're then going to string the next bead on and then hold it with your chain nose pliers directly above the bead. Bend the wire into a right angle, switch to your round nose pliers, go up around the top and down, switch it so that it's on the bottom nose of the pliers, bring the tail end out so it looks like this, and then you're going to spiral around about 3 times. And the key is to keep it as consistent as possible and continue on in this method until you have about a bracelet's length. Okay, so I have a chain that is about long enough to go around my wrist, and notice how I added a little accent bead on here. Feel free to do that if you don't like just the plain sequence of beads that you've created. I have one last bead that needs to go on, and then I have a teeny tiny little lobster clasp. So I have my piece of wire. What I'm going to do is really similar to what I've been doing all along. I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and bend a right angle. I'm going to then switch to my round nose pliers, go up around the top of the pliers and down, then switch to the bottom nose of the pliers, bring the tail end underneath and straight out to the other side. So this is what we have so far. Then what we're going to do is hook it into the chain. Make sure that the other side has a large enough loop for your lobster clasp to hook into, or what you can do is add a jump ring if you'd like. I'm not going to do that, but it sometimes can give it a nice finished look. Totally up to you. So once we're hooked into the chain, we're going to grab that extra loop, not extra, that new loop that we've just made with your chain nose pliers, and we're going to spiral the tail end around to close the loop 3 times, just like normal. We're going to trim the tail end off, and if you need to, you can use the chain nose pliers to tuck an extra tail down that might still be sticking out. So you can put your last bead on, just like that. And now what we're going to do, instead of making an empty loop like we normally did before, we're going to make a loop that hooks into our clasp. So make that right angle bend, switch to your round nose pliers, go up around the top and down, switch to the bottom nose of the round nose pliers and bring the tail end underneath. And now what we're going to do is hook the bottom part of the clasp directly into that loop. So this might take some finagling in order to get it in there, but it won't be as awkward as it looks. So then we're going to finish that spiral out. Make sure your clasp isn't in the way. So 1, 2, 3, and then you can trim the tail end and tuck it down if you need to. And you have a fun little beaded chain bracelet. Thanks for watching. An optional decorative addition is this fun chainmail rosette charm that can hang off of the bracelet. So you'll need 4 jump rings that are round in order to do that. You'll also need 2 chain nose pliers. So the first thing that we're going to do is close 1 jump ring. Anytime we're working with jump rings, we always need to make sure that they open and close in this direction and never in this direction. And you want to try to keep it as close together as possible when you're opening it. You don't want to open it at an angle. So we've closed 1 jump ring. We're then going to open the next one and hook it through the first jump ring. Then close it. The third jump ring, we're going to open it, and we're going to then place it through the loops of both of these jump rings. So we have our first chain, and we're going to hold these 2 jump rings together like this. We're going to place the third jump ring through so that there's a twisted connection of jump rings hanging from it. And then we'll close it. And you'll notice when you set it down that it creates a fun little rosette like that. So it looks like, if I can get it to stand up and show you, like that, if that jump ring wasn't hanging down. Okay, so then what you're going to do is take the 4th jump ring, open it, and hook it through the center of all of those jump rings. So here it is. I'm going to hook it through the center of all of them. And then that's what our fun little rosette is going to look like. you're going to use this 4th jump ring to then add it onto the bracelet. So just hook it over in between some of the beads. You don't want to actually loop it through the loops that you made to connect the chain, because that can stop the bracelet from being as flexible. Then close your jump ring, and you have a fun little rosette. So you can add just one as an accent, or you can add a couple of them, or fill the whole bracelet. Thanks for watching this DIY December episode. Like the video if you enjoyed watching. Make sure to subscribe to see more videos, and have a fun, creative December.